So I wanted to give this narrative about the ministry of angels. Angels play a significant role in our lives. The Bible actually mentions angels over 300 times. About 70 of those times is in the book of Revelation, and Jesus actually mentioned angels about 20 times in the Gospels. One of the primary verses in the New Testament that gives credence to the ministry of angels in our lives today is the book of Hebrews. Chapter 1, verse 14, it says that all angels are ministering spirits sent forth to minister to those who will inherit salvation. The word ministering is where we get our English word liturgy. And liturgy, actually, the root words there can mean people is your occupation. We are their job. We are their assignment. We are what occupies them. Later on in the verse, it says that they are sent forth to minister to those who inherit salvation. This is actually a different Greek word. And that word literally means to run errands. They are to be occupied with us, and they're to run our errands. The book of Revelation mentions angels more than any other book in the whole Bible. So, this is going to be fun, and I want to, in this video, begin to share some personal experiences so that we can have encouragement. And know that, as a disclaimer, this is not something that we overemphasize. It's just a topic that Jesus actually mentioned in over 20 times. And so it's not that we worship angels, right? But they play a massive and crucial role in everyday affairs of mankind. And to avoid or ignore their ministry is to avoid or ignore how God interacts with us. So I've been thinking about this recently, and I was reminded of early childhood angelic experiences. One of those was when I was about 4 years old. My dad and I were driving in Houston to go to an air show. We used to love to see the Blue Angels. And I remember we were driving down this main highway. My dad pulled off to go and get a drink at a gas station. And this was back in the 80s when seatbelts and car seats weren't really a big thing. My dad pulls off to a gas station, and he gets out of the car, and I go to get out of the car too. My dad didn't know that I had unhinged the door, but I wasn't strong enough to open the door. I thought, well, I can't get out of the car, so I just sat in the front passenger seat, and my dad came and got back into the car. My grandfather was following us in another vehicle behind our car, and we pulled out into a major intersection. And when my dad took a sharp left turn into traffic, I went flying out of the car. And as I flew out of the car into traffic, I saw two hands come and swoop under me, and they caught me, and I landed softly on the ground. My grandfather almost runs me over. He gets out of the car, runs over to pick me up, and he's embracing me to make sure I'm okay. And of course, I was fine, not a scratch on me. I'd forgotten all about this experience until I was about 18 years old. And my grandfather and my dad were visiting, and they were talking about the story. And my grandfather asked me, he said, "Josh, do you remember when you fell out of that car?" He starts explaining the story to me, and then I started to remember, wow, I remember that. And I started to remember the hands of light that caught me. My grandfather told me, he said, "When I picked you up and asked you if you were okay, you told me that Jesus saved you with his hands." Now, I was 4 years old when that happened. I had never been to church. My parents didn't talk about Jesus in the house. I had no religious background or upbringing at that time, but I knew that Jesus had intervened. Now, fast forward some years later, I'm living in the streets, street life, selling drugs. A mafia gang member who wanted to rob me. I met somebody at a hotel room to do a drug deal, And when I showed up, the guy who was hiding there, and he walked into the room, threw me on the ground, and pulled out what looked to be a 9mm and shot it at me, and I was face down on the ground. And when he shot the gun off, somehow the bullet went through my shirt but did not hit me. And I later that night, after the whole thing happened, I got back home and I took off my shirt, and I saw 2 bullet holes where the bullet hole went through and out of my shirt, but I had no bullet wound. So I believe an angel intervened in that process. Fast forward some years later, now I'm saved, I'm walking with God. I was in prison, but I began my journey with God, and I was having some spiritual attacks in my sleep. And I remember a couple nights later, I'm laying in my bed in prison, and I had a top bunk, which sits about 6 feet off the ground. And I wake up in the middle of the night, and I feel this presence at the foot of my bed. And I looked down toward my feet, and I saw a man towering over my feet, probably 9 to 10 feet tall. And he was dressed in light. And I looked at him, and I felt his presence, and it was this holy, divine, peaceful presence. And I looked at him, and I said to myself, "Oh, there you are." And I just rolled over and went back to sleep. So these are a few of the interactions of the angelic and how they're very involved in our life. And I wanted to get into this topic because I also believe that there are angels involved in our lives personally, of course, but they're also involved in the assignments of ministry that we're involved in. In the book of Revelation, chapter 2, Jesus commands John to write letters to the angels that are over the 7 churches. John is addressing these letters to the angels, right? These were actual angels that were assigned to those churches that John had the authority to write letters to. So angels are held in assignment over areas of ministry. And I really believe that. So I would like to propose for us to begin to think about the angels that are involved in our lives personally. And I believe that there are angels specifically connected to the haven of love. And they participate in the affairs of the haven of love. They participate with you when you're doing your classes. They're participating with you. They're helping you to create an atmosphere around the place and the people that you're ministering in. They give you the unction. They help you give you the ability to communicate. Yes, the Holy Spirit is there doing the work as well, but you also have an entourage, a whole team of angelic hosts that are available to help minister to the people. Why? Because people is their occupation, and they do our errands. So as you're praying for your classes, as you're praying for your meetings, as you're praying for your engagements, they are going to work. They are running the errands. They are attending to the affairs that concern you and concern the people that you're ministering to. They're fully occupied, engaged, and involved in the activities that you are ministering in. One of the things that Peyton brought up when we did the original video is that she said several times she's seen wings, angelic wings, fluttering and flapping in the jail while she's teaching. Now you may think, what is the purpose of that? Why would an angel come and flap its wings over a class, right? In the natural, when a bird is brooding over its eggs, there are 3 aspects of brooding that are crucial to the development and the hatching and birthing of the life inside the egg. It'll shake, it'll vibrate, it's positioning itself, it's settling, it's alighting, as the dove alighted upon Jesus, birds alight upon their eggs. Another thing that a bird does when it's brooding on an egg is it will eventually, at some point, it will spread its wings and flap them. It will bring its wings back in. And it's to create a warmth and to create a vibration inside the egg. And the third thing that the bird will do is it will chirp. It will make a lot of chirping noises and sounds. And again, this sound is crucial to the development of the egg. When the Holy Spirit is brooding over you, brooding over your classes, and brooding over your meetings, He's creating an order that it facilitates life. Because a lot of times in the classes, there can be disorder in people's lives. People are depressed, they're frustrated, they're angry, they're suicidal, they've got all these things that are in disorder in their life. But when the Holy Spirit, as you begin to speak, and the Holy Spirit begins to overwhelm and flutter over the class, He's creating an order that is conducive to His life. He's bringing order and He's bringing life. And you can all feel that when you leave the class and you're like, that was a really good class, right? So I wanted us to be mindful of this just to initiate our attention toward this topic and to know that you're not alone when you're ministering. You're not by yourself. You're never alone. You always have that angel or those angels there that's occupation is you. You are their job. Tending to you is their assignment. They're there to run your errands. They're there to enable you to do what God has intended you to do. You're not alone. You always have someone there with you. The Holy Spirit is there in you, and the angelic is there with you.